I have a nice trip here in Churchland. Course here is climbing.
Climbing.
Yes.
So, had you climbed before? Has it been new to you?
I climbed 2 years ago, so this is my the first climb here.
Diana and Thomas, thank you.
I'm going to pick you up at lunchtime. Go to Robbie's house. Yes. Which way are we going?
For Julia Thompson, every morning's a busy morning. First, her son Alex has to go to playgroup.
Come on then.
Then Julia herself goes off to work. It's a scene that takes place every weekday morning all around the UK. But for Julia, going to work is a recent addition to her life. As a disabled person, Julia Thompson was only able to take on her job word processing for a local company because she could top up her earnings with Disability Working Allowance, or DWA.
I spent a long time in hospital, and by the time I came out I felt brain dead and had to do something other than look after my family. It's always been important for me to work, and the only way that I could go back to work was with the help of Disability Working Allowance. It just made everything worth going out to work. It helped with childcare, and being at work saved my sanity, really.
Disability Working Allowance is an important benefit which enables disabled people to get into the workplace. By providing a top-up to earnings, it can make the difference if you've already got a job or if you just want to gain some experience of work. Julia could claim DWA because she had been getting severe disablement allowance and disability living allowance. Are there any other qualifying benefits to claim DWA?
You can claim DWA if you're getting a war pension, which includes a mobility supplement or constant attendance allowance, industrial injuries disablement benefit, which includes a constant attendance allowance, incapacity benefit at the short-term higher rate or long-term rate, and income support, housing benefit and council tax benefit, which includes a disability premium or a higher pensioner premium. But the most important thing with Disability Working Allowance is you must be working 16 hours or more a week when you actually make your claim.
Benefits Agency, Carol speaking. Can I help you?
Benefits Agency staff will help any disabled person who wants to know if they're entitled to claim DWA. Just call the helpline on 01772 88 33 00. And if you need help filling in the DWA claim pack, that's available too. Just call 0800 44 1144.
When the form arrived from the Benefits Agency, it looked a bit daunting. It had a lot of pages and a lot of questions. I phoned them and they were very helpful. They helped me out with a couple of bits that I was having difficulties with. And once I'd posted it back to them, they sorted it out very quickly, so I didn't have a financial gap between one benefit and another. And it's made a total difference to my life. It's changed everything.
Have you ever been out for an evening and suddenly felt like you're on your own and you're afraid? With a seemingly ever-increasing number of violent attacks on the general public, it's not surprising that disabled people are concerned about their personal safety. But there are ways of making yourself feel safer when you're out and about. And about on dark evenings like this makes me feel particularly conscious of my safety. Whether it be day or night, at home, at work, or out in the streets, personal safety is a big issue for disabled people, and especially disabled women.
Taxi driver kept asking us really personal questions and going on about how we looked and asking us about our impairments. And then when we did get out of the taxi at my friend's flat, he tried to kiss us both, and that was really frightening because it wasn't what we expected from a taxi driver, and we felt that we couldn't actually do anything because he knew where my friend lived, so we just couldn't do anything about it.
So it sounded awful. I don't know what I would have done in that situation.
And there's Kieran Saeed. She was subjected to disablest and racist abuse by a group of young men while walking through an underpass from college.
I was really frightened. I could hear them shouting. It was really echoey because the underpass itself was echoey. I couldn't tell where they were. I didn't know whether to run. I would run towards them, or if I ran, would I hit something? I just didn't know what to do. I knew what I should do. I knew I should scream and yell, but I just couldn't. And eventually I did yell, and they did go away, but it was the most frightening moment in my life because I just didn't know how to react to it at all.
Many situations like the ones Kieran and Louise experienced are highlighted in a report published by GLAD, the Greater London Association of Disabled People.
Disabled women feel that the environment needs to change so that we can feel safer. We also need better information so that we can deal with threatening situations. We also want better access to services which offer us support. We also need things that are going to help our confidence and increase our self-esteem. And we also need to be able to lodge complaints. And quite often we can't do that because buildings are inaccessible.
While services do need to improve for us all, the GLAD report and guides like Out and About, produced by the Susie Lamplugh Trust, suggest there are things we can do for ourselves now to reduce risks.
Key points are like being well prepared. Make sure you know exactly where you're going and how to get there. Tell someone where you're going and know where you would go for help if you need it. Try to look confident. If you're nervous, travel with a friend or even better, a crowd. If you have access to one, then carrying a mobile phone is a good idea, or a personal alarm which you find easy to use.
Access to Work is a government scheme. It's designed to help disabled people with the extra costs of employment. Things like special equipment, or for someone like me, a reader. But just before Christmas, the government said the scheme's overspent. We're going to have to place restrictions on it. And a lot of people were no longer eligible. The scheme is under review at the moment, but already the restrictions have begun to bite. I'm off to see Mari Pye, who needs access to work, but can't get it.
Local authority tenants would cause considerable hardship. Period. New paragraph. Shift key.
Mari works as a housing officer with a large charity. She can do the job fine, but her spinal condition means she needs a special mattress so that she can lie down for much of the day, and a computer which will accept voice commands. Because she's just changed jobs, she was one of those excluded by the new restrictions. She told me about the effect this was having on her ability to do the job.
Well, because the microphone I've got is really inefficient, it means that my efficiency is quite low. I just can't get work done in a quick enough time. The mattress means that my condition is getting worse. I'm in a lot more pain, I'm taking more painkillers, and I just can't really carry on like this. It literally means I'm going to have to think about giving up work fairly soon, because I'm not doing the job as well as I should be, and I'm ending up in so much more pain at the end of the day. You begin to wonder whether it's really worth it.
One of the organisations which is campaigning most vigorously against these restrictions is the Royal National Institute for the Blind. The kind of computer equipment that blind people need to work, things which, for example, convert print into braille or represent graphics, can be very expensive. And the worry is, if employers have to pay for some of this kind of thing, what effect is it going to have on our job prospects? Paul Ennells has been lobbying the Department of Employment hard to explain why visually impaired people in particular need access to work.
The crucial need that blind and partially sighted people have is getting access to the printed word, and the technology that blind and partially sighted people need is just so expensive it can run into several thousands of pounds. There is sometimes an alternative, which is that rather low technology use of a person to read the information, but people come costly as well. So either way, to enable many blind and partially sighted people to function in work, then there are very significant costs. In effect, the reductions that the government have brought in have meant that the jobs of many blind and partially sighted people have been severely threatened. They haven't been able to be applying for promotion, they haven't been able to dare to apply to new employers for work, and indeed many employers are looking askance now at the thought of taking on such an expensive commodity as a visually impaired person.
Kavan Jivanji is a trainee actuary. It's a complex job needing complex equipment. But how do employers feel about providing funds for this type of equipment?
For larger employers like MPI, employing disabled people is not so much of a problem. The danger comes with the smaller employer on the tight cash flow budget. When they have 2 or more suitable candidates for a job, the extra costs involved in employing a disabled person may lead to them being disadvantaged. This can be of great concern for the disabled person looking for work.
I then went to see Susan Scott Parker, Director of the Employers Forum on Disability. The forum represents over 100 large companies, including the large banks, oil companies and the BBC. How did she feel about access to work being tinkered with by the government?
Well, we're really very puzzled. The programme has been enormously successful. It's very cost effective. It's helped 10,000 disabled people last year. It's helped us to counter widespread employer prejudices, which automatically equate employing disabled people with extra costs.
So you think from the government's point of view it's a good deal?
Well, it must be cheaper to spend such a small budget to enable people to get jobs and keep jobs than to actually reinforce a system where disabled people are left passive recipients of government welfare budgets.
As I said as I sat in that London cab, the Access to Work scheme is currently being reviewed. Well, since completing the report, the results of that review have just been announced by the government. I asked Paul Ennells, what are the headlines?
Well, the first headline is that they have recognised the need to increase the budget from a very unsatisfactory £12.9 million up to £19 million. Not all we asked for, but a significant improvement on their first proposals.
Now, what about eligibility? Because the whole point of the government's restrictions was that quite a lot of people suddenly stopped being able to get access to work.
Yes, the government's dividing disabled people into 2. So the good news first, disabled people who are coming off unemployment or who are changing employers, there will be no employer contribution and access to work will be able to cover the full costs under the scheme. The bad news is that employers who are applying from an existing job within a company, then there will be some employer charges. And the government's proposals go like this. First of all, there's a £300 cost threshold per year, which means the first £300 of any application each year will need to be paid by the employer. Then above that figure, from £300 up to £10,000 in any 3-year period, the Access to Work scheme will only pay 80% of the cost, and the employer will therefore have to find the other 20%.
So are we talking about people who are already in a company and are perhaps seeking promotion?
That'll hit people who are seeking promotion in their work or where the work situation changes in work. For example, if the office computer system changes and as an employee you need a new access system. For those people, there will be the £300 initial charge and the employer will have to pay 20% up to £10,000. However, if the claim is above £10,000, then that full figure above £10,000 will be fully paid by Access to Work.
What's your feeling about the principle of employers having to pay anything as far as Access to Work is concerned?
Well, I think we still have a problem here with the employer being required to contribute towards the cost of a disabled person. And in essence, there is still going to be, I fear, a disincentive for employers to be taking on the most severely disabled people into work. Clearly, this is not as bad as we feared it was going to be, but underlying it, there is still a disincentive built into employers to employ severely disabled people.
And to end perhaps on a positive note, the people who come back into the system, when are they eligible from?
People coming back into the system will be able to claim from the 1st of April. Those people who are in work will be able to claim now from the 1st of June. Can I just thank those disabled people and their organisations around the UK who have been campaigning so hard to their MPs and ministers that has resulted in at least this improvement to the scheme. It's far from everything that we wanted, but at least it's a lot better than we feared.
Paul Ennells, thank you very much. Evidence there of just how effective a well-orchestrated campaign can be. And some relatively good news with which to put this particular baby to bed. If you want all the details about Access to Work, well, you can get them from our fact sheet. Now, back to Kim, looking at computers at the Papworth Trust near Cambridge.
With the recent hype about the internet, the topic of computer technology has received refreshed attention in the home and in the workplace. Not knowing much at all about computers myself, being amongst all this technology does make me feel a bit nervous. But you don't need to be very computer-minded to be impressed by it all or see its potential. There's now lots of different hardware and software which makes computing more accessible to disabled people. For instance, there's now a variety of different keyboards to suit your range of movement. If you like, you can now choose the layout of the keyboard, or you can use voice type, where you talk to the computer and it types for you.
J. Tab key.
Now, if you're like me and you find all this technology stuff a bit overwhelming, then a good starting point is to find some training. With the aim of giving disabled people the opportunity to find out which computers and software suit them best, and the training to use them, here at the Bradbury Progression Centre, a new technology centre has just been opened.
I suppose I was pretty nervous, but once I've been there a few times, I was all right.
Well, I always had an interest in using the computer from seeing other people operate computers, but the drawback with me was not having the ability to use the conventional keyboard, and not until the opportunity arose a few months back for me to use a Wivix system. That's the keyboard imposing on the monitor, also a drag and dictate, and then I started to actually use a computer more or less the same as everyone else who normally use the keyboard. I was a little bit apprehensive to start with, but as I use it more often, I become more confident.
Pursuing a childhood interest in computers, Dale Wilkes is someone who has shown that he and computers really do work well together. He is now employed as a PC support specialist for Organon Laboratories in Cambridge.
Because these jobs, obviously, are the kind of thing you do staying in one place for an amount of time. They're something that's well suited to a lot of disabled people. And providing you get the right training, and you know, it's not difficult to pick it up. It's just you learn it and you progress it. It's very logical, and you start to build up a knowledge base, and before long you're an expert.
The Disability Discrimination Act came into force in November 1995. I'm here in Halifax today to find out what this office offers to people with disabilities, what services are available, what they're doing now, and what they intend to do in the future. So if you'd like to follow me into the office, off we go. Some people may find a visit to the Benefits Agency a daunting experience. If people have a problem with reading, writing, people who don't speak English may be very reluctant and embarrassed to tell the receptionist what help they want. For this reason, we've introduced a basic skills card. A number of options on the back, which, when shown to the receptionist, will show what information and advice is required. The office has an induction loop system to assist hearing aid users, and Jeanette is currently studying for Stage 1 in British Sign Language. The office is currently working to meet the 10 steps of the RNIB See It Right initiative. This is an initiative to ensure that blind and partially sighted members of the community have the same access to information. The office carries a full range of publications and information leaflets in large print and audio cassette. Privacy is often high on the customer's agenda when they call into one of our offices. Here in Halifax, 3 interview rooms have been specifically designed with people with disabilities in mind. Wide access, low tables, a comfortable, family-friendly environment. And of course, if you get taken short, they've got 2 toilets specifically designed for people with disabilities. We've been looking at the services that customers can expect when they call into our offices, but what about customers who want to telephone? Like most districts, Halifax is happy to receive calls via Type Talk and offers a text phone service. So, what else is happening in the Benefits Agency to improve service for people with disabilities? We've encouraged districts and units to use the expertise that's available from organisations in the voluntary sector to raise staff awareness to the needs of individual customers. The RNID, for example, are providing deaf awareness training. The RNIB, awareness for working with people who are blind and partially sighted. National Schizophrenia Fellowship and SANE are working with our staff to improve awareness of people with mental illness. Most districts have now undertaken consultation with representative groups in their own area. This is essential for success. We should be providing local services for local people in the local community.
Yesterday, I took a trip into Newcastle to find out just how easy it is for disabled people to access the arts. As a wheelchair user, none of these buildings is fully accessible to me. Worse still, they're not accessible to the majority of disabled people either. Access means much more to us than just getting inside a building. It's also about the attitudes we find when we're in there.
Well, usually when you go into a theatre or some sort of other venue, even football, you're taken into a wheelchair enclosure. You feel as if you should be a sheep or something, or something inanimate. So it's really very annoying and upsetting that you're treated as if you're from another planet almost. Okay, I'll just wend my way to the bar. I'll be back shortly. Excuse me. Hello, excuse me. Oh, God. Hello, excuse me. Hello, excuse me.
Oh, hello, Pat. I didn't see you down there. What can I get you?
I'd like a double whiskey, a vodka and tonic, and a bottle of Beck's.
Oh, I hope you realise you put me on the spot if you're going to drink all that. Because if anything happens to you, I'm out of a job.
Look, if I haven't had an accident on the way out of this establishment, I assure you that in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, I would say, it's not the barmaid's fault, okay?
What was your order?
All the things that we do, we've actually experienced these situations.
They are, Pat.
Often when we go into an arts establishment or a theatre, we're made to feel as if everybody's putting themselves out. And access shouldn't be a favour, it should be a right.
And that feeling of being uncomfortable and unwelcome in mainstream leisure venues is just one of the barriers which was removed by the Northern Disability Arts Forum's Mass Observation Project here at the Newcastle Discovery Museum. Using disposable cameras, on one day in March, 250 disabled people in Newcastle took snapshots of their daily lives.
My photograph was a picture of a poster put out by the Stroke Association saying that disabled people's lives were in tatters once you've had a stroke or you've become disabled, and I just don't believe that at all. I wanted to dispel the myth about disabled people, and I don't want the general public to believe that we are tragic and miserable and unhappy people.
Well, that's it for this series of Disability Today. Hope you've enjoyed watching us. As usual, fact sheets are available, so just give us a call if you'd like one.
Next, voluntary sector television with subtitles and all the latest information from the voluntary sector.
By calling 0345 591 000 now, because in the Learning Zone, it's never too late to learn something new.
Good morning and welcome to the Learning Zone on BBC2. This is where we join programmes from the Open University, and that takes us through to 7:15. In 25 minutes, how a database helps car manufacturers produce the body in white. After that, a look at designer alloys. But first, New Hips for Old tells the story behind the artificial hip joint. Do note, though, that the last part of the programme contains scenes of explicit hip replacement surgery, which some viewers may find distressing.